All right, guys, I got some time to kill. I'm staining some cabinets. Hi, Finnegan. I'm staining some. He was eating something outside. He's licking his chops. I'm staining these cabinets. Not important, not relevant. But what is relevant is you can see I have my engine block out. So I still have to do final prep and clean. I do have to remove the gallery plugs at the back. This engine probably also failed because they have the incorrect plug on the driver's side of the block. You're supposed to have a plug with a 40 thousandths spit hole to feed oil to the distributor gear. Again, this engine originated as a failed build where every single rod bearing had spun. At least that's what JJ told me when he took it apart, and I believe that was the story how I went. It's been a while, but this engine started life as that. And I still have to do my final cleanup, even though my machinist did a really nice job of getting everything clean. The reason why I have the block out, though, is because I'm going to file fit my rings today since I got some time to kill. And so you got your top groove, your second groove. I already set a ring in there, and you use an old ring and a piston to square it up. So if you're doing the top groove, you put a ring on the second groove to set the depth, and you work off of that. And then if you're, I usually only work off of the second groove. It's really not important, I guess, because unless your engine has a lot of taper in it, it's not going to matter. The bore should be pretty damn square. There's only one bore that has got a little bit of a taper in it, but I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to set an old ring in the second ring groove, and we're going to set all our rings in square, check the end gap of the, so make sure I keep everything. So your gap at the end is good. And on these, I already put them in there. There was worry that these weren't going to sit in there quite square, and I might need 4.090 rings, but I set these in there, and I squared them up, and I checked around. I tried to get a feeler gauge in there. It wasn't going to happen. So these rings are actually sitting in there really good. I'm going to do that. As you can see, I have my ring grinder set up on the vise. I actually have to replace the cutoff wheel. And then I have to file the corners. Always deburr the ends before you put it in. So I'm at least going to have the rings all set up. And then maybe, I don't know, maybe next weekend I'll clean the block. But I am going to start getting stuff ready. I'm supposed to be going over by my friends. I was supposed to go over for dinner a couple weeks ago, and I ended up having weld certification tests that same day, so it was a no-go. But either way, once I go up to his place, I'll have my oil pump, and I'll have a third timing chain. And I decided for this engine that we're going to go ahead and we're going to run the solid flat tappet angle cam that I got. We're going to go ahead and run that. And then I'm going to end up just using the RPM intake because the ultimate goal here is for this engine to be a workhorse. I'm not looking to make crazy power. I'm sure that we're going to be tickling the same realm of horsepower with this engine, to be honest with you. Those big block ported J-heads that I have are, they work really well on the big block, and I think they're going to work awesome on the small block. So I think this engine will be good for 400 plus easily all day long. I made 375 horse with a prior 350 with a lot less work, a lot less cam, a little less compression. I think here we're going to be tickling at least 410, 415 all day, I think. But ultimately, the track will tell us what it's doing because I don't dyno shit. The track is the true dyno. So either way, I'm going to start filing rings, and I'll make little videos as I go, and I'll let you guys go. All right, guys, real fast. I got my top rings all set, squared up in place, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write on each cylinder where that ring gap sits, and I'm going to file fit one at a time, stick it back in there, check it, and then write the final number on the opposite end. That's the way I like to do things. And I'll show you real fast. Where did it go? Here we go. So I told you guys about putting an old ring on a piston. So this is how you square up the rings in the bore. You get a perfectly flat stop from the ring, and you can see The rings are pretty square in there all the way across, same depth on every single bore. So I'm gonna go ahead, measure it, write down my numbers, start filing, and it should be done in a couple hours, but I'll show you guys as I go. Alright guys, so I measured out the top rings. The top rings are actually 21. It was the second rings that were 18 thou. And again, I came out here a while ago and just did a quick little peek, right? So, you have to have, I guess it depends how you want to go about it. The old Mondello book for a street engine tells you to have a tighter second ring gap, and then in the Bill Travato, reference guide, it tells you to have a bigger second ring gap to avoid ring flutter. And I'm going to do that. So I'm going to set up the second ring 2/1000ths bigger than our top rings. Our top rings, we're just going to deburr them, and that's it. So I'm just going to file the second rings to 23/1000ths. This should be pretty good. 21 on the top, 23 on the bottom, and we're done there. So you see I wrote the numbers down. And I could show you what it looks like when you put feeler gauges in there, but everybody's used feeler gauges. There's no need for me to do that, at least I think so. So either way, I'm going to go ahead and do the second setup, erase my numbers, start all over again. Alright guys, so I got the rings all file fit. This is where we started. This is where we ended up. That one got erased. I turned the block over, but they're all 24. I actually started to do some of the blueprinting stuff. So right now I got everything measured out. I got like 4 thou piston to wall clearance. Rod journals are all in at 2.124. Main journals are all at 2.475. I wrote down my top rings, and I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up. See how it is. I'm going to tighten up one cap and bearing and see where it's at and go from there. And then I'll let you guys know where that measures in. But yeah, you can see I left my mic on the crank. It's tied up against that post. But yeah, we're actually starting to do some of the blueprinting work, and it's getting there. Alright guys, so I got everything spec'd out on the crank. We have a little over 3/1000ths on the rods. And then as far as like journal bearing clearance is like, I think it's actually 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. Piston to wall is like 4 1/4 thou. The rod journals themselves are 2.124. My top rings came in at 21. Second one at 24, which we had a file, and then bore gauge. So you got to check the most important measurement is the I guess what you would call where the skirt rides. So it's about 30 to 31, and you subtract this, which this is 4.120, when you subtract that number from that number, and that's how you get your piston to wall clearance, and we're all good. So this stuff can start coming back together. I had this rod over here. Let me put this back in the box. Actually, I should take that rag out of there. But we're making progress. Everything I can measure is measured out. The only thing I cannot do is going to be the mains. And I told you guys we did something that was going to be a little controversial here. Let's dig deep. Harlan sharps. Alright, so you guys see that surface? That's 1 thou shim stock. So this is a one and done deal. You don't want it to peel off or ball up or anything. So we needed an extra thou on the main bores. And this is a really old trick. This actually used to be done on the backside of bearings to clearance stuff out. But the machinist suggested this because really with 1 thou as shim stock, you really won't get any cap. This stuff won't deteriorate. And yeah, it's a little bit of a risk, but you know what? I honestly do, for what I'm doing, I don't see it being a problem. So this is going to be our one controversy point, I guess. But he said I'm going to have to take his word on his numbers. I actually do have the sheet he gave me, and pretty much what he told me it was is where everything kind of fell. So I have no reason to not believe him on that end. So I just don't want to mess that up. Yeah. And I do have to call him, though, because I do not remember why I ordered 2 sets of bearings. That's a mystery. I have to figure that out. But, yeah, I think I mentioned in the other video we're going to end up using the angle cam. And I think it's going to work out real nice. So that's pretty much it. We file fit the rings. Actually did a lot more than I thought I was going to do. Actually, these are my old cam bearings. Did more than I thought. So I'll let you guys go. I have to put a coat of clear on those. And I'm done. So we'll see you guys around. Share, like, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Copper Cutlass. And yeah, well, hopefully the next step is to prep and clean the block, change a couple of gallery plugs, and we're good. See ya.